Well, hello, everybody. My name is Mark Hubbard. I'm with OnMarket, and I'm here with Trav from Phat Brew Club. Phat Brew Club is raising capital with OnMarket right now through a crowdsourced funding campaign. And we want to talk to you about the process and the opportunity that is involved with Phat Brew Club. So, Trav, give us a little bit of background on Phat Brew Club and what you're doing and why you're raising.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Look, I suppose a little bit of brief background about us. As our video, which a number of you would have seen, starts off with as all good stories do. Our story started in a small shed in my backyard, basically, with five very good friends. One of which is my wife, who all met at a local football club. Um, and I suppose our love of football was also a love of beer. And we had, a lot of good times making a lot of weird and wonderful beers from a very early stage, and beers that weren't necessarily available on the market at that point. So we were able to be really creative with a lot of that. And I suppose it just grew for us. We started running small events in our backyard. It started with about 20 or 25 of our friends who would come along and drink all our beer and eat smoked meats all day. And that really grew to the last one that we ran was about 80 or 90 people. And we had to sort of cut it off. So whilst we had all that happening, we were started entering our beers into some competitions and managed to win the Margaret River homebrew competition with Margaret River Beer Co. And that was our beer Phat Porter, and it was our first beer we ever commercially brewed. It went exceptionally well. And I suppose that was the really key moment for us there where we sort of went, do we continue just mucking around at home and doing things with our friends, or do we see if we've actually got something? So we decided we'd test the market and went about doing some gypsy and contract brewing, which is basically where you go and use other breweries' equipment and stainless steel before you go and fork out your own $1 million in your own stainless brewery. So we did that for 18 months to 2 years, and our beers, which were very different or are very different, things like Strawberry Fields and a bubblegum sour and big hoppy juicy numbers went really, really well, and they were really well received. So we decided we needed to then get ourselves our own home and invest all that money in our own stainless. And we created Phat Brew Club, which is located in City West, one station from the CBD. It's a 450-person brewery venue with a kitchen, full bar, and also our brewery on site as well. So this has been very much our home since that time, and where we have tried to create this culture of good times for everyone that's come along.
And you've gone very, very well as well. I think you've had your venue open for a couple of years, and you're already generating over $3.6 million in revenue. So that's a tremendous hug from your community and acknowledgement of your success.
Yeah, correct, Mark. Like, we've been really blown away, I suppose, as to how quickly we've grown, how quickly we've become very ingrained in the community, how quickly we've become such a big part of the WA craft brewing scene. And I think a lot of it has lent into that, we have continually pushed boundaries. We've tried to be innovative and really creative with everything we do. And that also includes our food side. We haven't done the stock standard chicken parmies and pizzas or anything like that. We do a bit of an Asian fusion, Asian street food menu, which is something very different. And people have just loved that, I think, something a bit unique.
That's fantastic. And you're going so well that you're actually going to open a second venue at Hillary's Boat Harbor.
Yeah, that's right. And that's really obviously the main purpose of the raise is for us to look to expand and open that venue. And Hillary's Boat Harbour, for those who don't know, it's a pretty iconic tourist destination in WA. Really beautiful spot located directly on the ocean. And there's a lovely swimming bay just inside there, and a number of cafes, eateries and other venues there. I suppose we've really seen an opportunity for craft beer venues north of the river here in Perth. If you're not familiar with Perth, it is very much divided by the Swan River. And south of the river is quite well serviced by craft venues. But when you start to head north, there's really only sort of 3 or 4. And we saw Hillary's Boat Harbour as being somewhere where there's huge potential and opportunity just due to the sheer amount of foot traffic there. It is an iconic tourist destination. The state government have committed over 20 million over the next 10 years to really redevelop the precinct, and we just want to get in there and be a part of that and have the ability to have input into that as well.
That's exciting. And I've seen photos of the venue and it looks tremendous.
Yeah,
And tell me when are you looking to open that?
so that'll
Open
be
that
about
venue?
this time next year, so around September, October 25, just in time for summer up there. It's actually really hard to describe how beautiful a site that is. Over something like this, you really need to see it. But yeah, it's a fantastic spot.
That's fantastic. And so, as you mentioned, one of the purposes of your crowdsourced funding campaign is to help fund that expansion. And for those that aren't familiar with CSF campaigns, it is in fact the issue of shares. So the
Correct.
people that invest in you will have ownership alongside the existing owners and will have entitlements to dividends and all the rest of it. But
Yep.
just to explain the process to people that may not be more familiar. So right now the expression of interest period is open and people can come to our platform and lodge their expression of interest to invest in future. The offer opens on October 15th for those that have already expressed interest, October 18th for the general public. But once I've done that, help take us through the process of how this works.
Yeah, so essentially, as you mentioned, Mark, you go through the expression of interest phase and you put in how much you're sort of thinking about potentially investing. During this phase, we will start to provide everyone with a copy of our detailed offer document. That has in it all of our recent financials for FY 23, 24, what we've been doing in recent times, what our plan is going forward, some of the major risks that we've identified, budgets, all of the nitty-gritty details and information that you really need to be making informed decisions about if you want to proceed. So once you've got that information, as you mentioned, the next phase is that sort of private investment phase, which runs from the 15th to the 17th. And that's really your opportunity for those who have expressed an interest to get in before the deal actually goes live to the public. And I suppose for us at the moment, we have been very much blown away by how popular this has been. I think currently we're sitting at a high point of our expressions of interest of around 7.7 million, which is just, it's huge. It's significant for us and really quite humbling. But I suppose what it does is we have $1.2 million in shares available as part of this raise. So potentially it will be quite a competitive process to get through.
Yeah, and that is part of the purpose behind having the private deal period for those that have already expressed interest before the offer opens, is to give them priority to ensure that they get an allocation of shares. And in this case, as you rightly point out, your response has been overwhelming and very, very gratifying to see. So if you express interest now, you get priority of completing your investment and ensuring that you can get an allocation by acting quickly. So that's an important thing to note.
Yeah, and I suppose just building on your point too, Mark, around the shares, etc., that are provided, we have had a few questions through the process about that. They are 100% shares of the company. It's not token or anything like that. They are eligible for dividends. They have the same sort of voting rights. You do have the ability to move those shares on within 12 months' time, subject to board approval. So it's got all of the same
The rights.
The rights. That's the
You have
word
all
I'm
the
looking
rights of
for.
ownership. Yeah.
It's got all the rights
Yeah.
of ownership that you would like. So you're a legitimate owner and a valued piece of the company.
Yeah, they are ordinary shares that you'll be issuing. Now, in addition to that, you do have a generous incentive in terms of investor rewards that are available to people that invest as well. If you can give us just a summary of the types of discounts and beer and and benefits that you're offering in addition to that piece of ownership.
Yeah, so I suppose we thought it was really important to, during this process, not only provide anyone who invests with actual shares, but also to provide them with other incentives. So depending on what tier you go with, so there's anywhere from $250 to over 10,000 to over 20,000. You become eligible for a range of different discounts at those various tiers, and they range from anywhere between 5% to 20%. We've got some fantastic things in there, like a branded kegerator, a branded esky. We've got opportunities for those who get in early to get additional things like 6 months worth of beer or 12 months worth of beer, which is a cube a month. And there's also a sign up with a friend program that gives you the ability to earn a 20% discount as well off, if anything, at the venue too.
Yeah, that's fantastic, and that's one of the powers of a crowdsourced funding campaign, that you build your community of investors into becoming your advocates and your supporters, and they benefit it from it beyond their share ownership. They actually become part of the club and important members of your customer community with benefits that aren't available to other people.
Yeah, that's right, Mark. And for us, like a very important reason for our decision of going down this path of crowd raising is it's really an extension of what we've done in the past. Except this time you are getting those shares and actual ownership of part of the company as well. So we've previously run programs that we've called Fat Friends, and also our beer club programs, and all of those have been about bringing people in to enjoy the fun and enjoy the ride with us, and the opportunity for them to feel part of what is an actual club and has been built as a club right from the very beginning.
It's right in your name, Phat Brew Club.
Exactly right.
How appropriate. That's fantastic. So why would someone invest? What's your unique point of difference? What would you say to investors contemplating becoming an owner in your business?
I think there's a number of reasons, and it really depends on the person's own reasons, I suppose, and why they're looking to invest. There's the social aspects to it, which is a really good thing, and being a part of something. Again, that comes back to our ethos of that whole club aspect. Um, there's the obvious incentives that we're providing, and then there's the potential of that sort of return on investment, um, which comes with having actual shares in the company. So being eligible for dividends, these shares will, at a time when the company is in a position and business growth has been such that we're able to provide dividends to all of our shareholders, they will be eligible to receive those dividends as well. So I think that's a great incentive from a return on investment point of view. And yeah, for me, I think it's really just the key part is just coming and enjoying the ride. It's a lot of fun being a part of a brewery, and we tend not to take ourselves too seriously. We have a lot of fun doing all sorts of creative beers and what have you, and a lot of like-minded people who enjoy getting together and talking about craft beer and good food. So it's a real opportunity to be a part of something, whilst also hopefully the goal is to also make some money, and then enjoy some great incentives as well and drink some good beer.
Fantastic. What's your next creative beer in planning? Have you got another wild one in mind that you're thinking of?
Uh, we're literally releasing one beer today, which is a pineapple and mango and coconut hazy. So it's a collaboration that we did with Other Side Brewing, who are a pretty big craft brewery over here in WA. And it's using some of the latest terpenes that have been developed with pineapple and mango. It's got a heap of Sabro hops in there and a bit of mosaic. And it's this beautiful creamy mouthfeel, pineapple mango sort of milkshake almost. A lot of fun beer, 6.5%. So you probably can't have too many of them, but um, great to enjoy.
Oh, that sounds good. I'll have to get my hands on some of that for
We'll
sure.
send you some.
Yeah. Final question, Travel. Where do you see Phat Brew Club in about 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, look, we've got a essentially what we've been working through since day one has been our 5-year strategic plan. So we're into year 2 of that now. The first key milestone was obviously opening this venue in City West. The other key goal in there was around opening a second tap room. And the third key milestone in there is expanding the City West site. We have the opportunity here. There's an additional 500 square metres in the same building. It's currently not being used. So we have the opportunity to expand further back and increase the capacity of our brew house. So the intent would be for that to occur towards the end of the 5-year plan. And I suppose really as our vision, we want to become one of, if not the best brewery in WA. That's our ambition. And we want to be providing some of the most creative and innovative brews that people are doing at any point in time.
Oh, fantastic. Well, that's the message. Invest now, get on board with the next best thing. Trav,
That's the
thanks so
idea.
much for your time. That's quite enlightening. And of course, any potential investors can reach out and ask further questions and get on board.
Awesome, Mark. Thanks for your time, mate.
Thank you, Trav.
Cheers.
Cheers.